I'd like to welcome everybody to the April meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission. At this time, we'll call the meeting to order. And as always, we'll start our meeting with a prayer and pledge of allegiance, and Harold has agreed to start us with that. Harold?
Let us pray. Father in heaven, we just bless you for this day, God. We thank you for living in such a great city, a great country, a great nation, Father. We just ask for your wisdom, your direction in all that we do, God. Allow us to be servants in this community, just to serve the people in a more better way. And we just thank you for giving us this opportunity with health and liberty and just the opportunity to serve in a much needed way. And we give you all the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Harold. Before we get into the business of our meeting, I wanted to welcome Dr. Linda Gilbert joining us. And Linda, we're thrilled to have you.
Thank you very much.
We've always enjoyed having the Director of City Schools on the Commission, and one of the things we're most proud of is our working relationship that the department has with city schools, and we thoroughly enjoy it. So we're glad to have you here.
Thanks.
Dee, I think usually new members start out with a song. So
A song? Piano I do, singing I don't do. Thank you.
Well, everybody should have gotten their packets earlier in the week. Contained in your packets were the minutes from our December and February meetings. At this time, we'll entertain any changes or corrections that need to be made to those minutes. If there are none, motions for acceptance.
Mr. Chairman, on the December 2nd, 2009 minutes, the record reflects that others present were Mr. Myers Tate, and I think that's Miles Tate.
Okay.
You can make that correction.
Right, that's correct.
Thank you. Any others?
I make a motion we accept the minutes as presented with the noted changes.
second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move now to new business. Item 1 under new business, we have a distinguished guest with us, Mr. Paul Vaughn. Paul, if you would come up, and I believe Allison Davidson has the presentation she'd like to make.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, it's an honor today to have Mr. Vaughn here. Over a year ago, he came to me and he asked if he could volunteer in our department and teach yoga. I don't know of many of you know that Mr. Vaughn is a yoga instructor and very dedicated to the art, and has been a very dedicated instructor over the past year, drawn a lot of folks who into our program, and has done that free of charge for us. And he said, I really don't want any pay, I just want to get people involved into yoga. And he's done that, and he's done a great job for this department, and we just want to show extend our appreciation today to him, and just show him how much we really appreciate him coming and volunteering for our department. And I think Allison may have a couple of comments as well. Allison?
Well, now, Mr. Vaughn came up to us and said that he'd noticed we didn't have any weekend classes, and that's just simply because we don't have an instructor available. So he teaches 2 classes for us, an hour and a half each class, one on Saturdays at SportsCom at 10 a.m. and one on Sundays at Patterson at 3, and he's also done a 8-week workshop at SportsCom, and we're looking at potentially doing something like that again, either at SportsCom again or at Patterson. So he just keeps working with us to build it and to bring more people in, and they're very popular classes, and I've actually taken his workshop, so I can attest that he's He's nice. No, he's a very good instructor, and so we're really happy to have him. All of our members are happy to have him, and I think he just really adds to our programs and helps us create better things for the city.
And with that, I'd like to award to you, to J. Paul Vaughn, this certificate of appreciation with our sincere thanks for volunteering to teach yoga at SportsCom.
Well, thank you very much, Lanny. Do I get to share a thought or two? Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to tell you, or to share with you, my thoughts that you guys are overseeing a mighty fine institution for the city, both at SportsCom and Patterson. I've been very much impressed with the professionalism and the dedication of the people that work at both of those facilities to serve our community. So I do want, I'm sure you're aware of that. If you're not, go visit, come take one of my classes, as a matter of fact. But I do appreciate your thoughts regarding my volunteerism. And it's a pleasure. In fact, it goes back, and I'll share this. I won't keep you too long, but I would like to share one thought with you. My father-in-law was Jennings Jones, and he turned out to be not just my father-in-law, but a good friend and a mentor. And one of the things that he taught me when I was very young, relatively speaking, was that there are 3 stages to a person's life. The first stage is the part where you're learning. The second stage, the part where you're earning. And the third stage should be the part where you're returning. And he certainly lived that, and I'm hoping that I can do the same. So thank you so much for your recognition. I appreciate it very much.
Well, Paul, we say all the time, our department, you and I talked about it before the meeting, we recognize the employees consistently. There is a reason that we are the most decorated department in the state, and it's because of our employees, but also because of volunteers like you. If we didn't have volunteers to help with our programming, it simply wouldn't happen to the level it does. And I had the honor and privilege of serving on the Discovery Center board for many, many years with Paul, and I can assure you he is doing an excellent job of returning, and we appreciate your service to the community. Second item under new business is a consideration of a theater camp with fee and information regarding the Sunshine Players, and Terry Womack is here to present that to us. Terry, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. We have offered several different theater camps over the course of the years. A couple of years ago, we offered a junior tech theater camp, which we won awards for and everything. Well, we have been working on having film workshops the second Saturday of every month, and we increase in the number of children that we have. So we decided we'd run a filmmaking camp for 2 weeks, and we wanted to charge $150, which is $75 a week, which is comparable to some other camps that we have. And then I got to thinking that we really would like all of our kids in that age range to be a member of the Sunshine Players. So actually you could save $10 if you signed up for Sunshine Players membership at $30 and went to camp for $110, so that'd be $140, which is less than $150 just to go to camp. That way we can utilize them in filming our rehearsals and some of our acting classes and this, that, and the other, and they'll be a part of all one group. So a lot of our talent for this camp comes from in-house. Our staff, Mike Prevost, who's the theater manager, has a background in filming. Michael Malakote's leaving at the end of this month for 3 days to go to L.A. to shoot a film. He'll be back. Bob Pondillo, who's at MTSU, who had an article in the paper about a movie he's made, he'll be helping us with the camp. We've talked with the people here at Channel 3 about helping us and stuff. So we think it'll be a really good program for these kids. They'll come out with 2 movies, one from their group, one from the other group, and we'll have a showing at the end of camp. so everybody can come see their little short films that they made and stuff. And I gave you the information just on the Sunshine Players. There's no change in the fee that we cost, but most of the information in there is the information that I get with calls and emails every day. What is Sunshine Players? What does it cost? What do they do? How are rehearsals? How are shows? This, that, and the other. So just because we're taking a reduced rate in the film camp if they become a Sunshine Player member, this is what they also get with being a Sunshine Player. So.
Anybody have any questions regarding the camp and the fees that are presented?
How many kids are you going to be able to take?
We're only going to take 15 kids in the film camp so that we can concentrate on we're going to divide them up into two groups. It'll be like 7 or 8 per group kind of deal, so that we can really work with them more on an individual basis. We'll teach them all the different things involved with filming. One day, one of them will be operating a camera, and one of them will be doing the tech, and then the next day, somebody who did sound yesterday may be filming today, so that they'll learn all the different roles involved in putting a movie together.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Do you anticipate having more demand that you might offer this more than just this one particular time?
We'd like to, yes, but this is the first time to start out. We do offer the film workshops the second Saturday of every month ongoing, and so we started out with 2, now we're up to 6, and so we're hoping that we'll get more and more, because more and more parents are going, oh, my son needs to do that, and my daughter's interested in that. So we're hoping that once we do the camp and they get a really in-depth study of it, that more and more will want to come and join, and then we can do it on a more regular basis.
When are those workshops again?
The second Saturday of every month from 9:30 to noon at Patterson Park Community Center in the theater.
What's the cost on that?
Well, if you're a Sunshine Player member, it's free, and if it's not, it's whatever it costs to get in Patterson, $3, I think, for kids. Okay. So you'd save yourself $6, I guess, if you were a Sunshine Player member at $30, as opposed to $36 of paying, for 12 months. But our Sunshine Players also get free acting lessons. They get, of course, they get the T-shirt. We'll have an awards dinner. They get to be in at least one play. I have some kids that have been in 4 of the 4 we've done so far. We're in the middle of one now. It opens April the 23rd. Schoolhouse Rock. See, Schoolhouse. So, yeah, there you go. And then we'll have another one-act Circus that our senior Sunshine Player members will be directing, and staff will be working with them to teach them how to be directors and stuff. So being a Sunshine Player member is a pretty good bargain, $30 for the whole year to participate in children's theater, and then you get the film workshops for free and this, that, and the other. So.
Are you needing a motion to approve this?
Yeah, I think we need a motion to approve the camp and fees.
Is this going to be an ongoing, if they decide that the need is there to offer it more than one time this year, or perhaps you're going to offer it next year?
We might be able to offer it also between, or maybe a reduced version of a break during a fall break or a spring break or a Christmas break or something, or more times in the summer if the need. If we get a waiting list or whatever, then yes, we'll offer it again.
Okay.
Kind of deal. But we don't want to take more than 15. Because we have 5 staff members, they're going to be working, and we don't want somebody to lose out on some experience they could have gotten, if there's 30 in a camp.
Yeah, I just see this as a good opportunity for a lot of young people to get involved in, and obviously you got to keep the numbers down to manage it properly. So, looks like
3 kids, I know. Get them involved.
Well, this time we need a motion for acceptance of the camp and associated fees as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
And Terry, did you want to say anything else about the schedule?
Well, this is our new season coming up that will start in July. There's also a little paragraph in here you might have noticed about needing opportunities for parents or guardians to be involved. Just because your child is not involved that go-around doesn't mean you can't come and help us, Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller's child is a Sunshine Player, so he understands.
I was just looking for his picture.
As long as it's not
It's in
your
there, I see it.
And then Mr. Tips has been a parent of a Sunshine player in the past, too, so.
I've been trying to twist her arm and get back in there.
Well, now you got the schedule, and she can see what it is, and maybe she will. And now nutcracking is all ages. You just have to be able to dance. So that wouldn't be me, but it's a show I wrote. It's a hip-hop, jazz, rap, swinging version of the Nutcracker.
Do you have to be a good dancer or just able to dance?
But you have to be able to follow the instructions of the choreographer. So since it's Jimmy Lou Tate at the dancer school, I'd say you have to know how to dance.
I'm out.
So.
Well, if you need a Mad Hatter for Alice in Wonderland, Mr. Miller's excellent.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. But if y'all want to come help paint sets, I'll keep that in mind, too. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Great work, as always. Next item under new business, item number 3, is a consideration of a fee change for Youth League football, and Mr. Thomas Laird is here with us today. Thomas?
Members of the Commission, thank you for having me. As some of you have been a part of our program, over the past few years we've went in and revamped some of our athletic programs. We started with basketball, and our basketball program over the past 4 years has tripled in size. This past year we had 98 teams. That's almost 1,000 kids. That's equivalent to soccer, baseball, any other major sport here in town. And we're very proud of that. We realize that the revamping process, we don't always get it right the first time, but I think we're on the right track. There's a couple things that we can do better, and one of those is the training of coaches and officials. And when we present the budget, we present the actual cost of leagues. And that's the case here in football. We've presented the actual direct costs associated with league, but this does not cover the actual training of our coaches, of our officials, the lining of the field, the prep of the field, registration. Any of those indirect costs were not ever figured into that. And we would like to revamp our football program similar to our basketball. We would like to offer end of the season playoffs or tournaments. We want to train our coaches to the highest level that they can possibly train, and we'd like to add the younger age groups, probably beginning at 7 and 8 years old. We feel like kids drop out of sports because it's not fun. Well, it's not fun because they don't have the tools necessary to continue playing. If we can get them in early, train our coaches right, and give them the tools necessary to play, then they're going to stay in the game longer. And that's just statistics across the board that supports that. So we want to do our part by offering a good solid structure and foundation. And the fees that are current now, while they are the lowest in town, and our recommendation to raise that would still keep us the lowest and the cheapest fees to play youth football, but we want to offer a much better product and do our best at keeping these kids involved in youth sports, not just up through middle school, but on into their high school ages. We feel like that's kind of a foundation for good structure and teaches a lot of life skills. So we're asking that we raise football fees by $10. That includes a uniform, which is a regulation football uniform. They're the highest quality uniforms that any league offers, and that similar to what the high schools play with. So kids really enjoy getting those uniforms, and it's not an issue of a kid having a torn uniform halfway through the season. They're very durable, but they are expensive with numbers on front and back and logos and printing. They're about $30, $36 a piece. So that eats up about half of our entry fee money there, and then offering 3 referees on the field. That's very important in youth football for safety reasons. So as you look at the breakdown of the budget, you can see that we are operating with a little bit of a profit margin there, but that does not include any of the indirect costs. It doesn't include full-time staffing time, doesn't include scheduling of the league, the registration process, the weigh-ins, the evaluations. None of that is considered. So we would like to cover that as well while we're trying to upgrade our league and make it the best league possible. Any questions? I'll be glad to answer.
Anybody have any questions of Thomas?
Yes, sir. How many players are involved in the program?
Right now, we're right at 250 players last year. Now, our goal is to get that up significantly. Our basketball program was similar to that about 4 years ago, and we really got aggressive and revamped the program, added the younger age groups, and that's the same model we hope to use with our football program.
But it's very cost prohibitive for football. I mean, the parents have to buy the equipment, right? The shoulder pads, the helmet, or
now, of course, yes, there's quite a bit of cost involved with football because of the equipment stuff. Now, we do work with Play It Again Sports and AGs and some of these other organizations. We also have a equipment swap program where parents can come in, drop off the equipment that doesn't fit, and hopefully someone has some that does. So we try to trade out equipment through that way. But it is cost. We do have a financial assistance program to cover these fees. Everything we do does that. But the equipment is on the parent's responsibility. Now, we work as hard as we possibly can to make sure that everybody is outfitted with the correct equipment. If they can't afford it, we'll go out and find it.
What's the average cost for the equipment?
You're looking at about $120 to outfit with shoulder pads, helmets, pants, pads, the whole outfit's about $120. So to play youth football, you're looking at about $200. And believe it or not, soccer, baseball, parents tend to spend about the same. Unbelievably, you think soccer doesn't take much, but once you buy shorts, shin guards, shoes, the bags, and all the other things that go with it, I think we can keep the price comparable to our other leagues.
Tim, I participated in the youth program last season for the first time with my youngest son, and I think the general experience most people have in the teams is that, if you've got a child on a team that's having some equipment issues before you really get to you've got about 2 weeks out of pads at the beginning of practice, and most of the coaches will go to the different parents and stuff and make sure that the players are able to have the necessary equipment if they need help.
That's good.
We're in the middle of Optimus right now, or actually the start of Optimus right now, and I think I'm painfully aware with 2 young kids how expensive it is with equipment, but I think I would echo what Dee said, that the Optimus League and our affiliate leagues will do whatever they can to make sure if there is a child that needs financial assistance, that equipment won't be an issue.
Good.
But my question is there a way that we can quantify when we're saying the budget doesn't include field prep, all those different things? Is there a way that we can put a number on that to say, okay, we're going to be lining the fields X number of times, we're going to spend this number of hours on mowing the fields, so we can make sure that we can look at it as a league and say, okay, this is actually how much this league nets and what it does, instead of all those indirect costs.
Now, our field costs, we went in and we did look at that, and field costs to line and to do a field with staffing, everything is about $98 per field. So we're doing 3 fields per week, 7 weeks. We could do the math there. And then as far as our time, that's really difficult to do because, for example, basketball, my phone rang 12 hours a day, 5 days a week until the season got started. And so to count full-time staffing and all it'd be difficult to do. I think we can show the numbers on the budget sheet there very easily, particularly when you consider adding a postseason event.
Sure.
And then when you add registration, things like that, part-time staff.
I wouldn't recommend that we say whatever if we're on the phone but if where we physically have man hours, people on site.
Right. One of the things that I have asked staff to do and that we're doing in our office, and you can see the breakdowns now, is we're going to cost centers and we're trying to see how much each one of those programs. We're going to estimate the cost of our full-time. We just didn't have that for this commission. We want to go ahead and list that, but that's one of the goals, is to really nail down how much that is costing us, and if we want to get to a break-even point, we'll know how much that is and how much we may need to charge or how much we're actually supplementing. And I think that's the decision of the commission and council, is how much of the tax dollars do they want to contribute to Parks and Recreation and either supplement or whatever. Because, we have some things that we'll probably never ever charge for, somebody just actually going and visiting in a park, unless we have an admission fee to go to the park or the greenway. So we'll have those kind of things that will always be, I guess you would say, an indirect cost for the mowing and the maintenance and those kind of things. But for these types of programs, we can identify those costs, and I think we can place exactly what you're talking about. How much does it cost to line a field? How much does it cost for the utilities if we have so many games at night for so many weeks?
And my concern is I don't want anyone in the public to think that these type of activities are money-making activities. I mean,
No.
if you take the cost that we have between man-hours, utilities, field prep,
We were just roughly putting a pencil to it, and we're still in the red, even with the $10 increase. But it does give us some flexibility there in terms of what Thomas is talking about. When we start talking about putting tournaments at the end, we had a tournament at the end of our basketball league this time. It went great. I went out and watched those kids, and I mean, they were some really exciting games, real close games. It added that kind of to the end, and it closed that season. So we're trying to add those extra things, get the training, like you said, for the coaches, get the officiating up to where it's better officiating and so forth. So we're really trying to raise the bar for the program, and this just gives us a little more flexibility to do that.
Well, I echo what Shane's saying. I just think it would be more palatable to the people that are paying the fee if they know,
And we can do that.
as best we can.
We're working toward that, Mr. Tips, in each one of our particular areas. Because even with Optimus, which Mr. McFarland mentioned, we have a cost per player. Because we go out, we fix the fields every day.
Right.
We have to clean the restrooms, maintain the buildings, pay the
Lights.
utilities, those kind of things, and because they're a recognized league and they're performing that task for us under an agreement, that's still a cost to us as a department. And that's covered under the transfer from the general fund that comes from the council that knows quality of life for citizens in Murfreesboro is important. And you go out to the ball fields and you watch these kids. I went to a T-ball game last night where my grandson was playing, and I was sitting there about to have a heart attack over a T-ball game that was tied 9-9 in the bottom of the fourth. And they finally got one run in, we won. But, it's exciting to go out there and watch these kids engaged in this type of activity. And they're building so much in terms of character and teamwork, and the exercise they get is tremendous. So, it's making our kids healthier, and hopefully when they go to school with Dr. Gilbert, they're more attentive to learning.
And, I want the commission to keep in mind that when we do training with officials, for example, tonight we have 16 softball umpires that we'll do a 3-hour training with. Well, they're paid that game rate during that training. So the 4 hours that the city requires of videos that all of these officials have to watch, that's all covered, that's covered under a game rate. Until we're able to establish a training rate or a training type pay scale, that these officials and umpires are paid their normal pay. So basically those 3 hours, that's 3 games per umpire that we're paying them to watch films and to be trained. And we really want to get aggressive with training coaches and training officials, because that's the heart of the league, and that's how we're going to improve. That's how we're going to make the changes necessary to make it a better league and to draw more people in, to get more citizens involved. Our goal in 3 years is to have 1,000 kids playing football, and that may seem unrealistic, but with 100,000 people in the community, I don't think that should be a problem at all.
I guess the one question that I would have is that I see those costs, but I don't see the staff costs necessarily always have to be in there, because we're going to have that cost anyway. That's going to be a fixed cost whether we have football
only
or not.
Full-time.
Right, the full-time staff.
Right.
Now, again, those other costs associated with that particular league, that is a direct cost, I think we ought to be able to break those things out and see a final cost from that. I mean, the coaches' meetings, officials' training, and those kind of things, the field prep, but the staffing, we're going to have staffing anyway. Okay, you're going to have to have a full-time staff whether you did football or not. So to add that to the cost, all you're going to do is slice your pie down, where now you're doing one sport, you're doing two. So your cost would be half. It doesn't make a difference because that's cost going to have to be paid whether you do one sport or 10. Okay.
Right.
So the part-time additional staff, I think, should be able to be broken out by league.
Right. And I think if you want to balance this right now, those sponsorships that's in there,
Right.
those aren't coming right now. The economy, we didn't pull even a third of our sponsorships in basketball, and we anticipate the same thing with this season. So when you look at that, we factor that in, but it's very difficult to raise those sponsorships, particularly in football when we're trying to ask for $250 sponsorship. So, I think we can go back, and I can get with our football coordinator. He can relook at that and have that drawn back up to show you that, with these indirect costs and direct costs, that the program, we want it to set around zero
Right.
balance. We don't want to make money, but we don't want to lose money on it. We want to be able to pay everything, and we want to bring it up to the level that is the standard here at Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation now.
Any other questions or comments? If there are none, we need a motion to approve the fee increase as presented.
I move for approval with the stipulation that the budget's going to come back to us to look at, see where those costs are.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thomas, thank you.
Thanks, Thomas.
Item number 4 under new business is some information regarding a partnership between the Parks and Rec Department and the school system. Deborah?
Good afternoon. For several years, the Parks Department has worked in partnership with the schools in many ways, including field trips to the Wilderness Station and the Greenways and various community centers. Today, what I want to share with you is a little bit about what's coming in the future and what we're working on that's going to be a little bit of a difference in transition and perhaps what you've seen us do in the past. You're going to hear in a few minutes about the strategic planning that our department has been doing recently, and the outdoor division, outdoor staff, has been looking at two items and having two goals that we are relating to the school systems especially. One of our goals is to look at the overall health of our community and our citizens and our children, their families overall, and address the important health issues that we are facing. One of the new buzzwords that you'll be hearing, and I'm sure you're already hearing, is childhood obesity. And childhood obesity is getting to be becoming a national concern and is gaining local support in numerous ways. Another buzzword that you'll be hearing about is childhood nature deficit disorder. And our department has adopted a national campaign that is being promoted by the National Recreation and Parks Association that is addressing this childhood nature deficit disorder. Research tells us that this generation of children will probably be the first generation who will not outlive their parents. And in today's world, that's just kind of astounding. But because we're in a era of growing up with our electronics, and we're in a society and a time when we have become more protective of our children, we have kept our kids inside more, and therefore they are less active. I want to take just a second to quote the brand new, just published 2020 Tennessee Recreation Tennessee State's recreation plan. And in it, it has a number of chapters. One is addressing public health, and a highlight to that section says that the need of the public to avoid preventable diseases through increased physical activity. Okay, so all of us, myself included, are needing to become more physically active in order to prevent future health issues. Another one of these is in the addressing the nature deficit disorder, and still quoting from the state recreation plan. The baby boomers may have been the last generation of free-range kids allowed to roam without supervision, play in nearby woods, creeks, climb trees, build forts, and generally explore nature at will. In recent years, a sharp decline in unstructured outdoor play among children has sparked a new concern in Tennessee about getting children back in touch with nature. So that is also becoming a local and state as well as a national issue. One more chapter that I'm going to make a quick reference to in this Tennessee State Recreation Plan involves environmental education. And quoting again, it says, Tennessee's rich environments and biodiversity represent valuable assets of teaching students to appreciate nature while improving academic performance. The comparative advantages of using the local environment as a framework and focus for learning in all subject areas is well established. Okay, so that's the groundwork of the background of what I'm trying to impress upon you here. Now, 10 years ago, our department's first outdoor adventures department or division started, and we were really emphasizing teaching and creating and explaining backyard habitats, teaching individuals about what's going on in their backyards. The kids were coming to us, they knew about dinosaurs and whales and etc., but they didn't know what a raccoon was, and they didn't know what a lizard was, and some of the things that were very common and that are here in our local environment. So what we're looking forward to now in the next 10 years is kicking this up a notch about teaching the habitat issues by helping the school systems develop and create schoolyard habitats, helping the schools promote habitat restoration, help them provide the hands-on curriculum-related topics that maybe addresses the kids about nature and water quality and biodiversity and things, etc. So what we're wanting to do, while we're assisting the schools, we're also going to be, while we're like assisting the classroom teachers, and we'll have selected schools and selected grade levels and topics through the years, we will be working toward educating the whole family by providing a activity out in the park that is directly related to what the kids are studying in the school systems at the time. If they're studying reptiles and amphibians, then during that period on the weekends or after schools, we'll have fishing activities, learn to fish, and things that the kids can take the information they're learning, take it back home to their parents, and as a family unit get out, be active and exercise more, and enjoy nature, learn more about nature, and etc. And it's all in the name of fun and playing and reintroducing parents and introducing children into what there is to learn and explore about in nature right here in our backyard. Our first school park pilot program has involved Hobgood Elementary and their 6th graders in the greenhouse. We have planted seeds and studied propagation and stratification, which is a big word for me, but that's like cold storage of the seeds, and impressing upon the students that even the seeds have to know that they've been through a winter or through a cold period before they can sprout. So we've been working with the seed development there, and all of these seedlings are leading us up to a butterfly program and project that we will be working to take some live specimens of butterflies, butterfly eggs, caterpillars, etc., to the schools. And right now they're studying in the second grade level, they're studying metamorphosis. So we'll take the live resources that we have and with hands-on experience help enhance that classroom's learning experience, and also teach them how they can create habitats at home or visit the habitats at the wilderness station, and etc. So those kind of activities will be considered in-school field trips, where we'll coordinate, like I said, with each of the schools and work with them on their subject, very specific curriculum-related activities, and yet, once again, like I said, be creating the idea and the concept for the entire family to get out and have fun. So sometimes there will be a small fee required for participants and students and their families, and sometimes the activities will be provided at no cost. So it is the intention of the outdoor staff and our other divisions within the park department to help our community become more active and more nature aware and better environmental stewards, and hopefully just have another generation of caring environmental citizens that we have. We've got a pretty environmentally savvy group of adults throughout our community, and it's really great to see, and we've got to work to see that it continues in order to protect and save all the wonderful resources that we have. So that's kind of a highlight. You'll be seeing, gradual developments through the years as we get to know more of the school's needs. We'll have them, ask them to come and visit us, and we'll be working toward making their field trips more prosperous so that they can stay in town and have better learning opportunities with us here locally. Any questions, or perhaps Mr. Goodwin might want to add something?
Anybody have any questions for Deborah?
I just want to comment that we're very excited about this. Lanny and I have worked together for a long time, and it's good to be working with him again, but I appreciate Deborah's work. The schools are very excited. I think that with our implementation of the mobile health unit and also expansion of coordinated school health, it's a perfect fit. We're excited about this. We're excited about some other possibilities. As you know, Lanny, we just finished a spring camp and a fall camp and looking forward to a summer camp. And so the possibilities of the partnerships between the schools, I think, and Parks and Rec really are pretty limitless, and we're committed to that.
Right. And Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it's exciting to go out to the schools. Sometimes if you have the philosophy that you're going to wait for them to come to you, you may miss somebody. And so what we said is, let's take our programming directly to the kids. Let's work with the teachers. Let's work with the curriculum. There's a certain curriculum that they are required to teach. We can supplement that, and we can accomplish what we need to accomplish in terms of getting kids back out, getting them reintroduced to nature. It's amazing that some kids have never walked barefoot in a creek. They've never climbed a tree. They've never seen a snake, in the wild, only in a cage. And those were the kind of things that, as a baby boomer, we all grew up with and were things that we were accustomed to. We would hide in trees from our parents. If parents come out and yell, and you'd be at the top of the tree or something. But you think about all the activities that kids used to do. in terms of getting out, whether it's riding their bike or walking or those kind of things. And they were becoming physically fit just by getting out and having fun. And that's what this whole reintroducing kids to nature movement is all about, teaching them that, hey, it's fun to be back outside. Hey, it's fun to understand, what butterflies are all about and chase the butterflies and do those kind of things. And through this program, not only will they do that, they'll learn name recognition, they'll understand more about nature, they'll have a higher respect for nature, which in a sense will make us a greener community in the future, because that generation will grow up respecting the environment and doing things that will benefit our city.
Any other questions or comments? Deborah, thanks for your work on this.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Item 5 under new business, Becky Johnson is going to give us an update on the strategic planning process. Becky, welcome.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Many of you, I'm sure, are aware that we are working on a strategic action plan, which is a 5-year plan for the Parks and Rec Department. And a major component of that plan is to gather input from staff, community. It's not just a handful of people putting down ideas on a piece of paper. We're gathering from everybody. So I wanted to give you an update on where we are in this process and where we're going to be hopefully in the near future. First, as part of our input gathering, we started with a survey which was conducted last summer in 2009 that gathered input from the community on the status of our department and what is needed for the future of Parks and Recreation. 1,512 people took the survey offered, which was offered both online and in paper format at our Sportscom and Patterson facilities. Next, we held a staff workshop. That was in February, and we had a large portion of our staff. It wasn't just programmers. We had maintenance there. We had superintendents there. We had people from administration, so that we had people who look at all different aspects of how our Parks and Recreation Department runs. And it was a very successful workshop. Everybody put their thinking hats on and really gave us some good input on some goals that we need to set for the next 5 years. We also offered 3 public meetings. We held one March 8th at Patterson Park Community Center, March 9th at Sportscom, and March 11th at the Wilderness Station to try to offer them throughout the community. And then we held a focus group on Tuesday, March 16th. We had 16 individuals from the community attend this focus group. We sent out 40 invitations to different aspects of the community, but 16 came. We also put out an ad that if anybody wanted to come, to contact the mayor's office, and they were more than welcome to be part of this group as well. We had representatives from MTSU, the arts, some of our athletic leagues, the half marathon. We had people of all ages. We had single persons there, family people. So it really was a good representation of the community that came to our focus group. And they also gave us input on goals that they thought we should set and keywords to help us, and some real good ideas on things that we should try to achieve in the next 5 years. At this point, we are going to be drafting a rough draft. We're going to compile all that information and form it into 5 or 6 good goals with objectives that we think we can achieve in the next 5 years. And that'll be out in the next couple weeks for the Commission and City Council approval. We're hoping to have a final draft approved in June. We're working on our benchmarking status, and it's one aspect that we need to get finished for that benchmarking. But most of you in your packet should have received a survey that we did last summer and a comment card. And we ask that you fill those out and get them back to the Parks and Rec Department as soon as you can, because we definitely want and value your input as part of this planning process as well. Does anybody have any questions? Or Lanny, anything to add?
Anybody have any questions for Becky? We look forward to the report.
Thanks.
Thanks for your work on this.
No problem.
Item 6 under new business, Nate Williams is going to give us an update on the Sportscom pool renovation. Nate, welcome.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you guys today. I'm happy again to be here to talk about the pool. I know over the past couple months the Biggest question I've been asked every day by anybody who's driven by Sportscom is the pool on time, is it on schedule? So I'm happy to tell you that I met with the pool consultant today who designed the pool, the architect, as well as the contractor, and we're on schedule. So the scheduled completion date is May 25th. We should be opening on May 29th. So we're on schedule. Right now we're on schedule. I wanted to bring some pictures and kind of show you where we are, where we started. Just a few pictures, kind of show you where we are today. This is the outdoor pool before, as you're familiar with, just the old design and kind of a rough-looking pool. And as of yesterday, that's where we stand from the same place looking at the pool. To the left, you can see that's going to be the new zero-depth entry to the pool. And where we're looking now is where the balance walk will be from the edge of the pool to the other peninsula. So this is a new feature of the pool. I'll bring more pictures as we get closer and as you can see things being implemented into the construction process. This is the zero depth entry. This is on the side of the pool. You saw that on the left hand of the previous picture. In the middle we'll have a big play structure, which you're all familiar with the design of the pool. But this is where we are right now with the zero depth entry. The pool hasn't changed a lot if you just look at it from the road or people driving by over the past couple of weeks, because they've been doing mostly underground plumbing. So that's a big part out of the way. We're ready to move toward the next portion, which is doing mechanical room and then also adding in features in concrete. So. This is the old pump room. I'm sure you know this is one of the biggest parts, or one of the biggest reasons we needed a renovation. You can see all of the old rusting equipment, looking at all the joints that we were looking at having to replace. I think the picture kind of speaks for itself of the condition of that equipment. This is where we are now with the pool. All that equipment has been pulled out, new floors, new pits, everything is brand new, and they're beginning to anchor in the new equipment in there today. These are the footings for the new slides that will be on the far side of the pool. And this is the slabs for where we'll have our new pavilions next to the pool. We'll be able to rent out all day long on the weekends, have some parties. It's going to be a great project. Right now what our work in progress is, like I said, we're finishing up the underground plumbing, forming the walls for the final concrete chute. We're doing the mechanical and filter. All of that equipment's looking, putting in the anchors, the footings for that new equipment. Right now what we're really focusing on our side of it while the construction process is going on is we're working on getting our staff prepared for this big new pool that we're going to have. We're working on emergency action plans. We're working on teaching our part-time managers how this equipment will work and train them before we even have it in hand, have some manuals for them to look at and understand what it does, how it works, so we can operate it. We're also working on learning the rules. All of our lifeguards got a packet that explains all the new rules and procedures for all of the new equipment. So we're going to get the pool open, and it's going to be a short time between the pool gets ready to open and people actually come to the pool. So what we want is our staff to be very well trained, to be able to react to any situation that will happen right now. So we're trying to get it ready, and like I said, the two magic words are on schedule. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions if you have any questions about where we are in the process right now.
Anybody have any questions for Nate? It's amazing they're on schedule.
Yeah, it'll start moving a little bit quicker now that the plumbing's done, and you'll see some big things start coming up. We're starting to put in the slides here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So.
Well, it's a great project. It's going to be a fantastic.
We're very excited about it.
Good work. The contractor is doing a good job. I just want to mention Sane Construction, who is our contractor, Johnson & Bailey, who is our architect here locally. But they've had rain days. They've worked in the rain. They've worked weekends. That's how they're staying on schedule. And if you go out there to look at the pool, be careful. There's so much activity going on, you could actually get run over by something if you're not watching what's going on. So it's good to go out there and see how much activity is going on. Nate's out there every day monitoring the activity. We do have the professional consultant from Councilman Huntsaker, who has designed water parks not only throughout the United States but other parts of the world, and is recognized as one of the leading designers for water parks. And that's who we're using. They were on site today and very pleased with what they saw in terms of progress and they themselves said they thought that we were on schedule. So it's a good report, and hopefully the weather will hold out, and we'll have a good summer season.
One of the things that the representative from Councilman Huntaker said is that when he comes, usually there's some things that he has to tweak from what the contractor's doing. He said there's no issues right now at all that have to be adjusted. So he was very pleased and actually, frankly surprised at where we were in the project, the process of this project. So we're very optimistic, and hopefully we'll see some changes here in the next few weeks, and we'll be opening up here before we know it.
Well, good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last item under new business, Lanny has an invitation that he would like to extend. Lanny?
Yes. Hold on just a minute. Grab my invitation here. Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, as all of you remember, and I'm sure the people that are watching remember, April the 10th, 2009 was a very tragic day for the city of Murfreesboro. We had an F3, F4 tornado that went 23.5 miles across our great city. And what we have done is where it crossed the Greenway, we're having a remembrance of that this Saturday. And we've sent out invitations. We asked the Commission Council to please try to attend this, but we're putting in a new wayside exhibit on the Greenway. We've got several that talks about the history of the Civil War and those kind of things, because it's very prominent as you go down the Greenway of things that happened in history. Well, we think this was significant enough in the history of Murfreesboro that we wanted to mark that day. And that wayside exhibit talks about the destruction that happened on the 10th. It also talked about the recovery and how our community pulled together and survived that particular storm. There is also a memorial to the staff member that was lost on that memorial. So we will be unveiling that this coming Saturday. We ask you to meet at Thompson Lane Trailhead at 12:15. We will start walking toward the memorial or the wayside exhibit at 12:30. We'll arrive there somewhere around, I would say, 12:40, about the same time the tornado would have passed through that particular area. We've invited Mayor Bragg and Mayor Burgess. Both of those will speak. Mr. David Young, I'm sure most of you have heard of his story, was actually on the Greenway as it came across the Greenway and clung to a tree and experienced that. He will be there. He will give the opening prayer for this ceremony and speak of his experience. And it will be just a good time for our community to reflect and look at how we've rebuilt and how we've handled this type of tragedy as a community and how we all come back together. So I think it'll be a great day for us, and we invite you and the public to attend that ceremony.
Anybody have any questions of Lanny? It's going to be a great event. I'm going to be in Chattanooga at a soccer tournament. I wish I could be there, but I encourage everybody else to attend. They do a good job with these events. I'm sure this one will be no exception. Is there any other business to come before the Commission? Being none, we stand adjourned. Thank you all.